Hi, I'm Jody Shakely with NutriVita Wellness, and I'm here to talk with you today about a grain called quinoa. And I jokingly refer to this grain as quinoa because normally that's what my clients say to me when I explain that it's a different type of grain that they may have not tried before. So quinoa, just to give you a little background, it is actually an ancient staple of the Incas along with corn and rice. And one of the reasons that we like quinoa, not only is it a whole grain, but also it's an excellent source of iron as well as fiber and vitamins and minerals. It's good for your blood sugar. In other words, keeps your blood sugar steady as opposed to a higher glycemic carbohydrate. So it fits in nicely with the Mediterranean diet. And one of the things that I like about this grain so much is its versatility. You can enjoy it in the summer or the winter. You can enjoy it hot or cold, and either as a breakfast food or for your main meal in the evening. So we're going to do a recipe today called Quinoa+Tabouleh, and it's a lot easier to make than it is to say. I actually get my quinoa, and this brand that I get, important thing here is a symbol. It's the USDA organic symbol. So if you're a fan of organic products, this is the symbol that you'll look for when you're shopping for your groceries. I actually get my quinoa in a 6-pack on Amazon.com, but there are different brands, Bob's, I think there's Arrow, and this is Arrowhead Mills is the one I use. But very nutritious grain, and I've already pre-cooked the quinoa for us. One important thing that you'll want to do with this grain is to rinse it thoroughly in a sieve. And you need a really fine mesh sieve for that, otherwise the grains just pop on through like short rice. But what you want to do is rinse the grain. What you're going to do is rinse off the saponins. What you'll see when you rinse it is you'll get a foamy, soapy kind of material. And I'm told that different brands have either more or less of that than others, but we don't want to taste soap, so what we do is rinse that off. Then we cook it a whole lot like oatmeal. Boil it on the stove, cup of water to 2 cups of your dry grain, and this is what it looks like when it's cooked. It absorbs the water just like you would cook rice. So we're going to end up with 1 cup of quinoa actually is going to yield 3 cups cooked. So I have 3 cups cooked here. And then this recipe that we're doing, you could actually serve lukewarm. You can serve it cold, or you can serve it over a bed of salad greens. So what I've done is chosen an array of colorful vegetables. We have 2 cups of baby spinach here. Love that because it's pre-washed. I don't have to do anything to that except open the bag. A cup of chopped tomato. You're welcome to use a cup of grape tomatoes or have cherry tomatoes if you want to make life a little bit easier. I have a cup of diced cucumber and then a ½ cup of sliced olives. These are going to provide monounsaturated fat, and that's a great healthy fat for you. Also along with that, I have a 1/4 cup of lemon juice, and then I have a 1/3 cup of feta cheese, and I bought the Athenos reduced fat feta. If you make that swap, I guarantee you're not going to lose any of the flavor. Your guests won't be able to tell a difference. And then in terms of herbs, you can definitely use fresh herbs. This recipe actually calls for a 1/4 cup of fresh parsley and a 1/4 cup of mint leaves chopped. But what I did is divided that by 4. In other words, a 1/4 cup of fresh parsley is going to equal 1 tablespoon of dried. So if you ever want to swap, if you don't have the fresh herb on hand, just take 25% of that, and that's the amount of dried that you'll need. Recipe also calls for a teaspoon of salt. What I did is half that. Chances are, if you're like most Americans, you're getting plenty of sodium in your diet. So I have the recipe, half the amount of salt in the recipe, and then likely those who are consuming will definitely add to it at the end. And you use less salt that way because when you add at the end of cooking and towards the serving side, your guests will be able to enjoy the flavor that much more. So first I'm going to stir in my herbs, and that's already going to add some nice color. And then in terms of olive oil, this is an all-natural, cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil. This is great for salads. We like that it's cold pressed because it doesn't denature the oil. Many of the olive oils, especially the less expensive brands on the market, are heat pressed. This one is cold pressed. So that's going to be preferable. So recipe actually calls for a ½ cup of oil. I'm only going to use a ¼ cup to start because I may not need the entire ½ cup. Plus, as I've mentioned before, we're going to get some healthy fat in our olives already. So we can reduce the amount of oil in the recipe. Some fresh ground black pepper. And you're going to have to check me here because I have a really heavy hand. So I'll have to be careful with that. I'm going to add my lemon juice. And the other easy thing that you could do is mix these ingredients in a cruet first. But it's just as easy with this to stir them together. So then I'm stirring and I make sure that my quinoa is equally dressed with the herbs. And as I'm doing that, it has a different flavor. It won't taste exactly like oatmeal. It won't taste exactly like rice. It won't taste exactly like barley. It'll be somewhere in between all three of those grains. So it is a different taste, but in the name of getting a little bit more variety in our diets, it's a nice change from the usual. And when I mentioned earlier you can enjoy this for breakfast, you can cook quinoa in a similar manner that you do oatmeal and dress it with dried walnuts, dried cranberries, chopped walnuts, enjoy it with some skim milk. So it makes a great breakfast. So when I said it's versatile, you can use it just about any meal that you want. Add my black olives and my feta cheese. I'm actually going to save some for the top, and I'm going to stir everything together. And with any luck, I won't have too many of these little quinoa particles flying everywhere. Alright. Chances are too, this is great for potluck because it's not a mayonnaise-based dressing. So you have a lot less chance for food poisoning. Nobody wants that. And then when I finish, I'm going to add a little bit more feta, dress the top, a little more black pepper, because you know I didn't get enough earlier. And we're ready to go. Enjoy your new dish.